In the early 2000s, music piracy was everywhere. Napster, LimeWire, and BitTorrent let anyone download songs in seconds, and the music industry was in panic mode. But while record labels scrambled to sue downloaders, one guy in Sweden had a different idea. What if piracy couldn't be stopped, but could be replaced? Today, Spotify is worth over $100 billion. It changed how we listen to music, how artists get paid, and how the industry works. But this billion-dollar story didn't begin in a boardroom. It started in a quiet apartment in Stockholm, with one frustrated coder, a laptop, and a dream to make music free legally. Daniel Ek was just 23 when he came up with Spotify. He'd already made some money building websites and running an ad tech company. But after he sold his last startup, he felt lost. He spent months just gaming and thinking about what to do next. Meanwhile, the music world was falling apart. Sales of CDs were crashing. People were downloading music for free, and nothing could stop it. Daniel realized people didn't pirate music because they hated paying. They pirated because it was easier. If someone could make a legal platform that was just as fast and easy, people might actually use it. So, in 2006, he teamed up with Martin Lorentzon, the guy who founded TradeDoubler, one of Europe's biggest ad networks. Martin put up the first chunk of funding, around €1 million. Together, they created Spotify, a name born by accident during a brainstorming session. They wanted it to sound like spot and identify. It was catchy, and more importantly, it had an available domain name. The first big challenge? Licensing. To stream music legally, they had to convince record labels to sign deals. But these were billion-dollar companies, and Daniel and Martin were just two guys in Sweden. It took over 2 years of negotiations, rejections, and persistence. Spotify finally launched in October 2008, only in Sweden and by invitation only. At first, it ran on peer-to-peer technology, just like the torrents they were trying to beat. But the experience was slick. Songs played instantly, and the interface was clean and simple. Users loved it, but the company was bleeding money. In 2009 alone, Spotify lost over $4 million. Most of it went to licensing fees and growing the team. The big break came in 2011. Spotify raised $100 million from investors including Kleiner Perkins and Excel. That gave it a $1 billion valuation and opened the door to the US market. In July 2011, Spotify launched in America. It offered 6 months of free unlimited streaming. Word spread fast. By the end of the year, it had millions of users. Spotify's model was simple but risky. Free users could listen with ads. Premium users paid for offline listening and no ads. Most people started on the free tier, but Spotify counted on them upgrading. By 2012, Spotify was in 17 countries. By 2015, it had over 75 million users and raised another $500 million in funding. But not everyone was happy. Artists began speaking out. Taylor Swift pulled her catalog in 2014, saying Spotify undervalued music. Others argued the payout model favored big labels over smaller acts. Spotify replied, it pays out around 70% of its revenue to rights holders, but how that money is split depends on the deals labels have with their artists. While controversy grew, so did the platform. In 2014, Spotify dropped peer-to-peer and switched to its own servers. In 2016, Martin Lorentzon stepped down from the board. Daniel Ek became chairman and CEO. Then came the boldest move yet. In April 2018, Spotify went public, but it didn't do a traditional IPO. Instead, it chose a direct listing. No underwriters, no roadshow, just a simple listing on the New York Stock Exchange. This move saved money and gave early employees and investors a chance to sell shares right away. By then, Spotify had 170 million users, 75 million of them paying subscribers. It kept growing, adding podcasts, investing in exclusives like Joe Rogan, and buying companies like Anchor and Gimlet Media. But growth came with problems. Apple launched Apple Music, Amazon and YouTube were pushing into audio, and for years, Spotify still wasn't profitable. It had revenue, but high costs. That changed in 2024. Spotify posted its first full-year profit, over 1 billion euros. It had more than 675 million users and was paying artists over $10 billion a year. In 2025, Spotify is still the world's largest audio streaming platform. It's experimenting with new things, AI-generated playlists, audiobook bundles, and even testing a fee on its free tier. It's also facing pressure. Competition is tougher, and regulators are watching closely. But it remains the most used service, with over 260 million paying subscribers. Daniel Ek is still CEO, and he's not done yet. Spotify didn't invent music streaming, but it made it work. It beat piracy not by fighting it, but by building something better. And it did it with a simple idea: 2 founders and a lot of risk. The journey from a tiny Swedish startup to a global tech giant wasn't easy. It took years of losses, tough deals, and major bets. But Spotify proved something powerful. People will pay for music if it's done right.